as designers or as business people. Now, the first question I'm going to start with is not a question that a lot of designers ask me, but then it's a lot of questions that I wish a lot of designers would ask me. And I've never had anybody ask me that question. And I just wish someone would ask me. So I said I would ask myself that question right now. And that's the question: what qualifies me to give advice about the business of design? What qualifies me? See, I give advice to people a lot about the business of design. A lot of people contact me and say, "Oh, Tola, advise me about this. Advise me about this. I'm having this issue with the client. I'm having this issue with the project." So the first question is, what qualifies me? Why? Why am I the one here talking about it? Why do people enjoy listening to me talking about business of design? And why do people think what I'm saying is credible in the first place? Now, degree. I don't have an MBA. But what I do have is me qualifies me to be here is the amount of mistakes I've made. I'm sure when that introduction of my profile was read out, it sounded really nice. But a lot of things that one thing that was not read out in that profile was the amount of mistakes I've made in my 16-year career. I tell people I spent 7 years making mistakes, business mistakes, because I didn't have a mentor. When I started doing design in 2004, I didn't know any graphic designers. I had no graphic designer mentors whatsoever. I didn't know any successful graphic designers. I didn't have any relations that were even average. If they're not even successful, average. I didn't know anybody that had failed at graphic design. I just knew I wanted to do it. I knew that's where my skill lay, and I knew that was the direction I wanted to go with my life. So I went into it pretty much blindly, and you can guess that I made a lot of mistakes. I spent 7 years making mistakes, but the good thing is that I spent a lot of time learning from my mistakes also. So whenever I made mistakes, I learned, and I said, "Oh, this is not how to do this thing." But sometimes even after learning, I still go back and make the same mistake again. But the good thing is that it enforced the learning. So mistakes, I would say, is a thing that has really brought me to the point where I'm able to advise people. So when people ask me a question, I say, I have this really serious question about the business of design. I'm always like, what it is. I would ask them, what is it? What is this question you have? Because I don't think there's any situation, design situation, that I have not really found myself in, something close to it. So I've made a lot of mistakes. And to run a successful business, any business, whether design business or whatever business it is, you must be open to making mistakes. You must be open to mistakes. If you are a perfectionist, don't be a business person. If you're a perfectionist that doesn't want to make mistakes. And I guess that's a big problem we have, because the current school system doesn't encourage mistakes. And so we are trained from primary school, secondary school, universities not to make mistakes. Because when you make, the more mistakes you make, the lower grade. So we are taught that mistakes are bad. You understand? From very, very young, we're taught that mistakes are bad. When we're given work to do in class, when from very young in primary school, you would have, if it was right, you have a tick. If it was wrong, you have a big cross over it. So in the end, that cross was seen as, you made a mistake, this was bad. I think we even had teachers that were, in my opinion, not very good teachers at all. And I think that's putting it lightly, very bad teachers that introduced the concept of negative marking. And you see this in some secondary schools or some universities, where they tell you, for every question you miss, you only get it wrong, you will subtract a point. So that showed you that a mistake was very costly. And that reputation that we have in our educational system just shows us that we shouldn't make mistakes. And that's why when people make business mistakes, they are devastated. But I love mistakes. I love mistakes because it gives me an opportunity to learn and say, this is not how to do this. This is how you should do this. And if you're a business person, you should see mistakes as gold, because mistakes make you wiser. As you make mistakes, you kind of realize how to perfect things, how to make the process better. There's nothing in this world that was made that is good right now that was not made from making a lot of mistakes. And that's the thing we learned about Edison when he made the light bulb. He said he made so many mistakes, and he said he learned from every mistake how not to make a light bulb. So we must, the first thing in being a business person or a design business person or any business person at all is you must remove that education that you have from primary school or secondary school or university that tells you, look, making a mistake is bad and it only reduces your grades. That's the first obstacle that you must try to surmount.